Welcome to Volumod. We're going to grab some safety glasses and take a tour of the plant. There you go. Follow me. Okay, so we're going to start the tour here. As we go through, obviously it's very loud, so I'll try to talk loud so you can hear me. If you have questions, feel free to ask them as we go along. If you want to take pictures, you want to take video, that's perfectly fine. We're going to start, there are 21 stations altogether in here, and there are 3 tables to each of the first 3 stations. So we're going to start down here at the very first table of the first station, and I'll take you through the tour. All right, so this is the first table of the very first station. So what we're doing here is these gentlemen are putting together the floor truss system. It's used dimensional lumber, and then there are open web trusses for the different lines that need to run through. So what happens is, once we get all the modules done and we take them out on site, all of the mechanical and electrical and plumbing will come out of the bottom of this floor truss, and we just plug them in once they get on the foundation. Comes from this station. That crane up there will pick the floor truss up, bring it to the next table within the first station. Once they do that and it's delivered to this station, these guys put on the decking that goes for the flooring. They will attach the flooring, and I'll show this to you right here. They'll put on visqueen and it'll move to the next station. So this is the product that we use, and it is a Congolium rolled good product. It's a vinyl product, but it's very, very sturdy. It looks and feels like vinyl plank, and when it's put down on the floor, you can't tell the difference between this and vinyl plank. Everything you're gonna see today, all the materials you're gonna see in our modules have been vetted by our owner. Our owner builds modular structures. He holds them in perpetuity, so all the materials have to last. So the benefit to you is, when you build with us, you know that all of your materials are top quality and are gonna last while you rent them out. So again, you'll see the gentleman over here, what they're doing is, they're attaching the decking. They're attaching the decking to the floor truss. They're sanding it down on the seam so that this doesn't rip or tear. Once they get that stretched and nailed down, then they will put the protective covering on it, and they'll move it to this station. This station is what we call the MEP station, or the mechanical, electrical, plumbing station. What happens, and you can start to see it here. You want to come on over here, I'll show you. What happens here is all of the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing gets pulled from the bottom, like I mentioned earlier. So you see the electrical gets a high voltage test and a polarity test to make sure that it's performing properly, and it'll get the same test at the end of the line so that we know that it's ready to ship out. We don't have any, actually if you look up here, we've got some of the water lines going, and so same thing, they'll test those here and at the end to make sure the water pressure is appropriate, and make sure that there are no holes or cuts in it, so that it's, again, available to go down to the end of the line and ship out. Come around here. So I'm going to take you through these stations here. I'm not going to get too terribly technical today, but if you have questions, by all means, you can ask them or email them to me or text them to me, and I'll get you the answers that you need. But I really want to show you the quality that goes into these modules, and kind of the difference between what we're doing here and what they do on site, where they stick built on site. Show you some of the advantages. We got guys working over here. It's really loud, so again, I'll try to be really loud to tell you what's happening. So in the first couple stations, what's happening here, and you can see, is they're starting to put up the end walls and the long walls. They'll start putting up some of the drywall. You see the green drywall there is for the wet spots, your kitchen, your bathroom, etc. Once they get that finished, it's going to move on to this next section, and they're just continuing to work on the walls. They're starting to do some partition walls in the middle. They start working on the inside. They're pulling some more of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing. And then the next station, I'll show you down here, So in this next station here, you can see they're starting to do drywall. They're doing the rolled drywall right now on the exterior walls. These modules are very energy efficient. So the insulation is R21 in the walls and R38 in the ceiling. So very, very energy efficient. Once our modules leave here, they're extremely energy efficient from the sense of insulation, from the sense of extra materials. All of the appliances are high efficiency. So you know that when you get these structures that they're going to be very good in terms of utility bills and keeping your energy usage very low. Let's come over here real quick. What these gentlemen are doing right here is they're putting up what's called a marriage wall. So what happens with these marriage walls, and it's when two modules come together, you'll have the 2x4 construction, you'll have the drywall on the inside, the insulation, and then the decking that he's putting on right now. When they come together, there's a 2-inch gap, and what that does is that deadens the sound so that you don't hear what your neighbor's doing. We do the same thing in the ceiling for multifamily so that the folks upstairs don't hear you and you don't hear the folks as well. Be careful right here as we're coming through. These guys are working hard. Good morning. Okay, so as you come here to this station, you'll see, again, they're still continuing to work on the inside, and they're starting to put some wrap around the windows and the doors to make sure that they stay energy efficient and mainly to keep them dry. You see at this point, all the sheathing is put on, so it's also helping to keep the structure dry. So we ensure that once you get these structures on, these modules on site, they're not going to be full of water. You're not going to have to worry about moisture and mold and those types of things. I do want to draw your attention to one thing. You'll see above me here is our mezzanine, and this mezzanine is dedicated to roofing. So on this project we have going on today, it is a 36 unit 81 module multifamily development. So it'll have a flat roof, which means there's not as much roof work to do on this structure. In a typical pitched roof, you would see guys all around here putting the roof trusses on, doing the shingles, doing the decking, and once they get on site, the scissor trusses that we use for the pitched roof come up and they have almost all the shingles on them, almost all the decking, and there's just a little bit of button-up work that has to be done on site. We'll move you down here to this next station, and really a lot of what's happening here is intuitive. You can see obviously the windows are going in, the the building wrap is going on again to hold in the energy, to keep it from getting wet, to just fend off the elements as we are getting it out on the site. We'll move on to this next station here, but I did want to show you something on an exterior wall. So some of the things that make our structures more rigid and we do things like 2x6 construction on the exterior walls as opposed to 2x4. There's about 20% more lumber and materials that go into a modular construction than an on-site build. And so the reason we do that is a couple different reasons. One, as you saw, the structures have to be picked up on a crane here within our factory, but then also when we get on site, cranes are going to lift up these modules and they're going to stack on each other. And so each module is independently constructed so they can exist on their own. One module does not depend on the other module, which is also different than stick building and quite frankly, better than stick building. One other way that they're done more rigid and better than stick build is the drywall is all glued and nailed. So there's just a number of different reinforcements that happen within the construction of these modules that result in a more sound structure for you once you get them on site. This here is what I was referring to on the mate walls. This creates the 2-inch gap that limits the noise between one module to the next. And we'll come down here and I'm going to show you some of the interior stuff that's going on. Good morning. So as you see here, we've got some guys working hard on doing the interior finish. Drywall's coming up. They're finishing the drywall. They're getting it all ready for paint. We'll do about 3 different coats of drywall mud, and then as it goes to paint, we'll do what's called a level 4 finish, which what that means to you is that it's just a really good finish so that your walls turn out smooth and look good once you get them on site. Let's come around here. So the rest of the line here is really dedicated to the interior finishes. So in the next few modules, you're going to see the appliances going in. You're going to see the cabinets going in. We make all of our own cabinets here. They have soft close doors and drawers. So they're a really good quality cabinet that we make right here at Volumod's plant. Okay, so this is our cabinet shop, and again, we make all of our own cabinets here. Again, they're soft closed doors, soft closed drawers. We have 2 types of cabinets that we make. Some, and you don't see them right now, but some of them are the shaker style door, if you're familiar with that. And then we've recently started with a European cabinet, flat face. So we're trying to open up more options within our cabinets. These are white, we've done them in gray, but as we move forward, we're probably going to introduce some other types of finishes and other colors. I want to show you one other thing over here. So I mentioned to you earlier our countertops that we use, and they weren't in the modules that we could look at them because we would get in the way of everybody. But this is the included countertops that we use. So this is a Wilson Art Thinscape. It comes in various shades, colors, patterns. It's very thin, but it's as hard as a diamond. You can take a hammer to this thing. You can put a hot pan on it and it won't scorch it. So it has all of the same properties as a much more expensive granite or quartz, but a third of the price. So that's the cabinet shop. Yeah, so if you want to see here, the next station, we saw the drywall getting finished in these other stations, and in here, our top of the line painters are starting to paint everything. So they'll put what's called a proof roll on it first to get everything caught up. So they're priming everything before they start putting the final coats of paint in. At this point, you see the fire protection, because again, this is a multifamily development, so it requires fire protection. So you'll see the fire protection's all stubbed in, the outlets are in, the lighting is all in, our partition walls are in, so everything's ready to start receiving all of the finishes. So in this next station, they're going to start, as I mentioned, start doing all the finishes. So you'll see these cabinets here that are ready to go in. They're not finished yet, but they'll go in and then they'll get finished once they're in the module. They're starting to do a lot of the finishes here. You can see the I don't know what they're called actually, but they come down for the pendant lights. Morning, how you guys doing? Again, they're starting to install all the cabinets, so we're going to get out of their way. Be careful, guys. So one thing I'd like to point out, I touched on this earlier, but I really think it's important as you see these guys guys and ladies out here working, is that about 30% of our workforce is made up of people who are formerly incarcerated, in recovery from drugs and alcohol, and we recently hired some veterans as well. So what that does for them and for us is it gives them a new lease on life. You know, these are folks that may have been unemployable before coming to Volumod. But what we do is we pay them well, they have full benefits, and they get a really great place to work. We really love our workers, and so we really try to love on them and do everything we can to make sure that they have a really great environment to work in. So as for me, it makes me get up in the morning, be very excited where I work. So got a couple more stations left here, and then we will come over and I'll take you over to the cabinet shop. Good morning, ladies. We're just giving a little tour here. Say hi. Hi. So as you can see, these ladies are doing a lot of the finish work in here. They do a fantastic job putting the appliances in, putting the cabinets in, really getting it ready to go on site. All of our appliances are Whirlpool appliances, stainless steel. This client has chosen to go with a little bit different than normal. But again, all of our appliances go in, all of our interior finishes are top quality. So they work really hard in putting this together for us, and we really enjoy having them as part of our crew. So that's the end of this part of the tour. I'm going to show you one more thing that's important. Today we've got a module ready to go out into our yard. Watch your step here. So as you can see, what we've done here is all of these modules are now wrapped. They're shrink wrapped on the outside. There will be no weather that will affect them. They're really protected very, very well so that water and elements don't get inside of them. This particular one is getting ready to be taken out to our yard and be ready for shipment. So we got our people over here working really hard, they're cutting the baseboards, cutting the trim right now. So it's really getting everything finished and ready to roll. So again, thank you for coming today. It was an honor to have you in here in our facility to see what we do every day. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and this is Volumod.